You have been in this industry, been successful for so long. What is a piece of advice you have for anyone out there that wants to get into music? And how do you just said that like people aren't educated. How do they become educated then?
I keep using this word studying.
Yeah.
Like studying is important, I believe, and it's a lost art. Like with a lot of people doing a lot of talking, it's like you got to know the landscape of music. You have to know where the money is. Like there's only a couple of places to get money. There's so many people that I talk to that just don't even understand the business element. And so I just call that wishful thinking. Like it's like if you want to be a race car driver, don't get on the freeway, start going fast. That's not the road. And there's a road to being a professional music person. And these chairmen, these managers, these publishers, these booking agents, whatever it is, there's an ecosystem. And so part of my studying and my education was it could be as simple as I love this record and wanting to know who did it. Now, if that record leads you to Pharrell Williams, go learn about Pharrell Williams. Like if it doesn't matter what song it is, go learn about him. Go learn who's engineering whose record, who mastered it, who's his manager. How did he get this? Like who hired him? Who hired Pharrell Williams to do this record? Right? Like that's what I looked at. Like, and so when I hear a lot of people be like, get in with the artist, get in with the artist for what? They don't have no money. I get in with the artist because they have a relationship. But the first thing I'm going to ask you is, who's behind you? What's the story here? Like, what label, what manager, where am I going to get compensated? Because I keep hearing like people talking where it's like, oh, like they didn't get their money. Like, and I'm not the person that leads with money. I just have enough confidence in the ability to know what I know about the industry that there is money at the end. And certain people just get in with the artist and don't realize, like, I'm still waiting on a check from an artist with an artist's name on it. So why am I going to spend my time solely, like, I will work with an artist outside of the label after being introduced by the label or by the manager. Somebody that understands what it is that I do and my compensation of what it is that I bring to the table, because other than that, I'd rather be at dinner. Like I've got enough records under my belt that I'm not looking to get in. I'm not trying to have a session that doesn't count. So my advice to people is understand what you want, find a mentor, chase down the part of the industry where you identify with it. Like pick your person. And then if they're your person, pattern yourself after them. Understand, like the people that I mess with, David Foster, LA Babyface, like I wanted to eat where they eat. I wanted to bump into them on accident. I wanted to, like, it was intentional. Like when MCA Records was on Lancashire, 777 Lancashire, Lil Silas Jr., Gerald Busby, Ernie Singleton, Madeline Randolph. I knew the people that worked in that building before I moved here from Chicago. So I knew that I needed to get with those people because I knew that they were making Belle Biv DeVoe. They were making Bobby Brown. They were making the records that I thought were moving the needle. So I always made it a thing to close the gap between what I'm hearing, like literally hearing, like who mixed that. That's why I know Dave Pensado.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Dave Pensado, Jason Joshua, where we are right now, like it was because of the records that I heard him mix that led me to the same relationships that I'm still making records with, because whether that's sonically, whether that's visually, whether that was video wise, I'm attracted to what looks like the big thing. And so with that, I would get all the information about that and close the gap between the part of the industry that I wanted to be in, where I saw myself. It was a strategy for me. It's not for you to tell me where I'm going. And I don't know where you're going. Like, hey, you want to work on my artist X? Well, who is that? I didn't study that. Tell me the back. Like, So if I get what I want, what am I getting? If I do deliver the thing that you're calling me for, who's promoting? Is this going to radio? Is this just a DSP thing? Like what's the end game here? And so I would say be educated about, this is not a dream. This is not a dream. It is actual business that runs off of real things, and you have to know what it runs off of. And when you're not providing one of those things, then there's a lot of frustration in it because you haven't been real enough with yourself about what it takes to be successful.
Getting educated, studying, finding a mentor.
I remember when I got when I was 14 or 15, the way that I got started was like I wanted to get into music, but I didn't know how. So that was like when YouTube and Wikipedia were like really kind of like doing their thing. Teachers at that time were still like, you cannot cite Wikipedia.
I still feel like they say that.
Yeah, they're wrong. You absolutely can. I owe my life to Wikipedia.
Same.
But I found a songwriter who had worked on some records that I really like, and sent him an email, and he signed me and started flying me out.
Who was it?
His name was Sasha Scarbeck. He wrote like You're Beautiful with James Blunt,
Yeah.
and he wrote like Wrecking Ball with Miley Cyrus. And he found me when I was about 15, and I started sending him my demos. My parents were supportive, but I don't have any connections, or didn't have any connections in the music industry. So I kind of just, they were like, you can do this, but you kind of got to figure it out, you know? So I got linked up with him, and I just kept bothering him, sending him emails like, hey dude, like bring me out. So he started bringing me out to London when I was like 15, 16, and that was like really exciting. I saw Shawn Mendes was like playing across town, so I was like, all right, like I'm gonna go and sing in front of his line. And then I got more fans there than I did on the entire Marina tour. So then I started taking like trains around Europe, and like Troye Sivan, I played in front of his concert. I played in front of Charlie Puth's concert. I played in front of pretty much every artist who I felt like had a fan base that might be interested in my songs. And I did that for about maybe 8 months. I did like 160 parking lot shows or something crazy. I don't know. Did 12,000 parking lot shows. 12 million. I did like 160. Then this kid that I wanted this to make a music video for my song I Built a Friend, and I had tried to get this kid to dance to my song in the music video, but I sent him the song, and I could not afford him at the time because I spent all my money like paying my parents back and going to Europe and like doing my thing. And so
Was he gonna like dance on?
he was gonna dance to the song in a music video.
Oh,
and
wow.
but then he didn't do it. But then he called me like 2 or 3 months later. I was like, yo, I'm going on America's Got Talent because I rehearsed a dance to your song for the music video. Can I dance to it on America's Got Talent? It's like, yeah, dude, like do your thing. Since I had been released from my contract with Columbia and I recorded that song during the period of my contract, I had to illegally re-record it and then post it online and make sure that the version he danced to still Shazammed to the new one. And I did that, and then that song was like top 10 on iTunes. And then that's how I got a deal. But I kept telling the labels, I was like, yo, like you guys can't see because the ecosystem is so big, but like this Water Fountain song that I have is way more popular than I Built a Friend. But because I can't sell it because I don't own the master, you can't tell. Like there were no YouTube charts at the time. Like you couldn't get the metrics on like any of these websites that sort of like take the streams and tally them up and show you like what your position is on YouTube globally.
Like Social Blade or anything.
Yeah. And when I signed my deal, I was like, yo, like my previous label wants all those old masters. They'll give them back to me, but they want like 50 grand. And my label was like, we don't want to buy them. And I was like, trust me, buy them. And they bought them. And it turned out it was a smart purchase because the songs did well. Yeah. So I ultimately got the songs back, but I wrote the songs when I was like 18, 19. Then I didn't own them. I never owned them, but then I didn't get to release them until I was like 24, 23. Wow. Yeah.
So you're sitting on them.
Yeah, 6 years ago I put them out, and then here we are. Here we are. We're hopefully I don't have to go back into the parking lot. I'm trying to avoid that, but it depends on how this next song does. We'll see.
Well, what I will say is I feel like you're still practicing that skill because I see you going up to people like for years now saying, "Can I sing for you?"
Yeah,
You
I
do
gotta do that.
series.
I do it for the TikToks,
And for
I'll
YouTube.
Yeah, and for YouTube. I gotta go out and it's fun. I like singing for people in public, and it's cool now when people be like, "Oh, I know your song."
The people that are like, oh, I can't write a hit. Well, guess what? Then don't do this, because that's what it's built off of. That's what it's built off of. If you're at a record label and you're signed to a record label, they put out hit songs. They don't put out artists. That's
Very
it.
true.
They put out hit songs. If Michael Jackson could get dropped, so can you.
Oh, dang.
If we're riding in the car and the car has a rhythm to it, like I hear it and it triggers. And so I'm always constantly looking for that melody, and that melody lives within me, I would say. And it's annoying. It could be annoying. It keeps you up at night. It wakes you up early in the morning. And
Keeps you working though, right?
yeah, you could say that. I work a lot and have for a long time.
How much do you work, would you say, then? Like in a week on music?
My normal work week, and I'm slowing down. My normal work week is still 6 days a week, 1 p.m. to 5 a.m.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called DJconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's why I was on Clay, this technology you tell your group. I was so impressed. Because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So, Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about, is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and what turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
Well, I'll say this. First off, it's beyond an honor to be on your show. And I've been buying gold specifically since 2005 when it was $450 an ounce because of you. And now the price of gold is over 3,400. Who knows what it's going to be when the show comes out? So again, I mean, I can't thank you enough for helping me increase my net worth by sevenfold, eightfold. Second thing is your books have made such an impact on my life. And for anybody who doesn't have your books, I recommend that you read these books. But what happens is it's not about knowledge. It's about the application of knowledge. So Napoleon Hill, the best-selling author of the book called Think and Grow Rich, he said that action is the real measure of intelligence. And so when I read your books, I was also reading Napoleon Hill. That's why my son's name is Aubrey Napoleon Hill Clark. I named my son after Napoleon Hill. And I'm going, in this book, there's great potential power, but knowledge without application is meaningless. And so I started, Robert, a DJ company, which I haven't owned in over 15 years, called DJconnection.com. And we were doing 4,000 weddings a year, 4,000 weddings a year. That's 80 weddings every weekend. And people kept saying, can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? And so this was the pitch I told people. I said, here's the deal. You cannot pick my brain, but I will charge you some fee that you can pay on a monthly basis. And I just want a small percentage of your growth. And they go, huh? I go, just a small percentage of your growth, because that makes it worth it, my time and your time and the whole thing. And then eventually, Robert, I got to 160 clients, and I thought to myself, that's a lot of partners, a lot of clients. I know what I'll do. Let's just start having conferences. And so this is my 20th year having these conferences. And I think why people come at 5 a.m. is because when they go to thrivetimeshow.com, they see over 2,000 documented case studies of real people on video that say, hey, my name is Aaron Antis, and I've grown my company from 14 million to 150 million. And people go, what? And people say, hi, my name is Lindsay Blankenship, and I was a startup, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company called Revitalize Medical Spa. And people go, hi, I'm the founder of OxyFresh. I now have 500 locations. And people go, 500 locations? And so, Robert, I guess the answer is I have a very low turnover program with 160 longtime clients, very limited availability. And it works, and people want to apply what they're learning. And so that's why it was such an honor to have you, because you're the master of application. And you and Tom Wheelwright, you guys broke down the biggest expense that every entrepreneur faces, which is taxes. And you made it very practical, very tactical. And it was an honor to have you and Eric Trump there. And now that Eric Trump comes to all of our business conferences, I said, we've got to get Robert Kiyosaki in the house. So again, thank you for lowering your standards and joining me, sir.
Lowering my standards. I just want to let everybody know you have a how many acres do you have out there? You have your house. You have this I call it an amphitheater. Not really an amphitheater, but it's an auditorium that you built on your property. And like I said, your parking lot fills up at 5 o'clock in the morning. How come you guys are on fire in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Well, you know, what's wild too, Robert, is, probably 95% of my clients are not from Oklahoma. So what happens is I tell people, look, hey, we have limited availability. We're going to have 300 people at this conference, and I keep the attendance small. And I say, listen, if you're not wanting to grow your company, if you're just coming because you want to get a photo with a celebrity and you like fog machines and you like skinny jeans and fancy clothes and you like to just pose and get fake influencers to take fake photos with you, don't come. But if you're a real entrepreneur and you're not afraid of giving someone a high five at 5, come to our conferences. And I think that's what that's been the filter process. Because when you study the lives of multimillionaires, I mean, over the years, I've interviewed the founder of Square, I've interviewed the founder of Netflix, I've interviewed Wolfgang Puck, guys like yourself. When I interview people like Eric Trump, they all wake up at 6 a.m. or before. You just don't see super successful people that are waking up at noon. And so it's sort of a filter process. And because, Robert, I've been doing it for 20 years, you're pretty much now surrounded by only high quality, get her done people that love to study and do deep work. And I say deep work. What's deep work? You once said, I'm quoting it. If I mangle it, I apologize. But there was a quote you said, professionals hire coaches, amateurs do not. Yeah. I wrote that down. I heard you say that the first time, well over 15 years ago. I wrote it down. And I thought to myself, why does Michael Jordan have a coach for fitness and Kobe Bryant has a coach? And why don't I have a coach for accounting? So I did what you recommended. I hired a coach to help me with accounting. And I thought about it. I'm going, why don't I have a coach to help me with the legal aspects of my company? And I hired a coach to help me with my accounting. And I still use the same coaches 10 plus years later. But again, there's one thing to hear it, and it flies by. There's another to grab that idea and to apply it. And so how do you find the time to apply these things? I recommend that you wake up, you set your alarm at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. every single day, and you get up and you spend the first 3 hours of your day designing your life. And so I decided this idea. I thought to myself, I would like to have a 40-acre-ish compound / hobby farm where my wife and I and our 5 kids can raise our family, and where we can offer the world's best business conference experience. And so I wrote it down. I sketched it. I drew it. I actually have a picture. This is a sketch of what I'm working on in my backyard right now. So I sketched this stuff out. You've been to my backyard. So I sketch it out. And when you came to the conference, I noticed that we were a little bit short on places for people to go. So I sketched out how I want the additions to be. And next time you come back, if I can trick you into coming back, we'll have more additions. And I'm just constantly sketching out my future, ideal in every way possible. And then every day I work towards it.
Well, Clay, it was spiritual. I mean, your people were on fire, and I don't mean that in a bad way. They were like so turned on. And like I said, in my own company, I couldn't get them to read a book. And I fired them. I did. I said, I don't want to hang around people who are just going to cruise along with life, because it's not worth it to me. And so that's why I want to talk to you today about what you do. I mean, Pastor, what's his last name?
Jackson Lawmeyer.
Jackson. I mean, even your pastor is on fire. Why don't you tell his story? Because he's got this massive church and all this.
Yeah.
You guys are on fire out there.
Well, let me give a big shout out to Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer. This is a true story. Your good friend, Donald J. Trump, America's 47th president, selected personally Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer to be one of the 15 pastors who he works with. So you hear about President Trump's Faith Council. You look in the picture, you're going to see a guy under the age of 40. That's Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer. This is a guy, his church is Sheridan.Church. And I know this is not a religious broadcast, but Pastor Jackson is a diligent man who really does believe he's supposed to work as unto the Lord. And President Trump saw him. He caught President Trump's attention. And so he is one of the pastors that President Trump has personally selected to lead America's faith leaders. So when you see President Trump had an Easter meal with the pastors, Pastor Jackson's in that photo. Now, Pastor Jackson is an entrepreneur who has read all of your books, and he's diligently applied the principles that you teach. And he did that because he never wanted to build a church where he was dependent upon donations to be able to pursue his vocation. The word vocation means calling, meaning he never wanted to have to get up in front of a platform and browbeat people for money in order for his church to be solvent. He never wanted to be one of those churches where they spend 90% of the sermon begging you for money. He wanted to be a church where he could focus on teaching the Bible. And he wanted to be self-sustaining. So he, as a young man, true story, he has read your books. He's applied your books. When I told him that you were going to come to our workshop, he lit up like a Christmas tree. He lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. He was so excited. He said, Robert Kiyosaki is coming to Tulsa. And he was just so excited because you, in many ways, have kind of written the business Bible. And so he was on fire to see you. And people say, Clay, how did you meet Eric Trump? Eric Trump and I met through all this nonsense about the lockdowns and the quarantines, and I just refused to lock down. And he and I got to be good friends through that process because he discovered me because I wouldn't lock down and I wouldn't back down, and he liked that kind of energy. And we were comparing schedules, and he says, you wake up at 4 a.m. too? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, I wake up at 4 a.m. He goes, do you work 6 days a week? I said, I do work 6 days a week. He goes, awesome. And he and I became friends, and now we've done, I think, 26 events together or 25 events together. So, Robert, Eric Trump is a diligent doer as well, but Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer, I'm telling you, everyone should look him up. He's the future of ministry in America. Check him out at Sheridan.Church. That's his website.
Yeah, and what was really interesting about your group, you're all young guys. You know, I'm a boomer, and you guys are on fire. When you come back, I want you to talk about what would you say to people. How do you get that fire? You know, for me, I started to study in Vietnam, and because it kept me alive, it kept my faith going. You know, that at nights before a battle, I've been an aircraft carrier. You know, the rocking of the ship going like this, and I'm not really religious, but I do believe there's a God. And I just sat out there and went, you know, dear God, tomorrow morning, we fly into battle. We're up at 4 o'clock, and we're launching by 6. So, you know, about 25 planes are taking off. And I just wanted to fly with spirit. And that's when I started to learn a lot about exactly what you're saying. It's action. I have my cash flow board game back here, and that came after Maria Montessori, the Montessori school system. And she says, what the hand does, the mind remembers. So when you come back, I want you to talk about what does it take to get somebody's fire going, that they want to come back to life and learn and take part in the greatest. We're in a dangerous economy right now, but it's also the biggest opportunity in the world. And so many people are getting crushed. Homelessness is expanding. And so we have a lack of spirit in our country right now. So we come back and we have Clay Clark. And I just want you to talk about getting that fire to learn and study and take part in life. So we'll be right back, Clay. So thank you.
Are you getting richer or poorer? Because right now, the rich are getting richer while everyone else falls behind. Why? Fake money. The government prints trillions of dollars, inflating your savings while the rich move their wealth into gold and silver. Gold is surging, silver is skyrocketing, the smart money isn't waiting, they're getting out of dollars before the next crash. And here's what most people don't know. You can legally move your IRA or 401k into gold and silver, 100% tax and penalty free, with my friends at Priority Gold. This is how the rich shield themselves. They don't save fake dollars, they save real money. So don't wait. Get Priority Gold's free wealth defense guide now and see how to move your savings into something real. Text GOLD to 24999 or go to PriorityGold.com right now. Text GOLD 24999 or visit PriorityGold.com and get your free, no obligation wealth defense guide. Because waiting makes you poorer, taking action makes you rich. The average time to hire for most organizations is 30 to 45 days. Are you tired of the costly and lengthening hiring process? Simplify and speed up your recruitment by using the experts at Express Employment Professionals. Reduce time to hire, cut down on multiple interviews, and lower your recruitment costs. Whether you're looking for contract workers or new team members, our streamlined recruiting, candidate screening, and hiring process is more efficient than hiring on your own. Visit expresspros.com today. Haven't used a staffing company before? We know that you enjoy learning new things and keeping up with trends and efficiencies. Make a change this year with your hiring. Businesses are navigating a landscape that has never been more expensive or regulated. Start at expresspros.com to find the location near you. With more than 860 locally owned offices, you'll get the hiring support that you need at expresspros.com. Rich Dad likes gold. Rich Dad likes Bitcoin. Rich Dad owns both. But right now, Rich Dad believes silver might be the most overlooked opportunity of them all. Here's why. Demand for silver is exploding, used in solar panels, electric vehicles, computers, electric product, weapon systems, medicine, and even water purification. But unlike Bitcoin or gold, silver supply is going down. And best of all, it's still the cheapest. Gold is breaking all-time highs. Bitcoin hitting new records. Silver is still 60% below its all-time high. Why? Silver is useful, and the price has been suppressed for decades to keep it affordable for industry. But Rich Dad believes that manipulation is over, and Rich Dad believes silver's about to slingshot to all-time highs, possibly $70 an ounce in 2025. So if you want to understand what's happening, how to take advantage of it, text the word silver to 24999 and get your free 2025 silver forecast guide from Rich Dad's trusted silver source, Priority Gold. You'll learn what's driving silver and how to buy it smart before the next surge. Again, text silver to 24999 right now to claim your free 2025 silver forecast guide and get ahead before silver takes off.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. My guest today is Clay Clark, and my good friend Tom Wheelwright and I traveled to Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit Clay, as long as my other friend Eric Trump and his father and I are good friends, wrote this book together called Midas Touch. And we're talking about the word study, because when I went out to Clay Clark's place in Tulsa, he has a compound out there. I mean, it's a huge estate. And he had this huge auditorium that he's built. and he had hundreds of people there at 5 o'clock in the morning to study. And, it was almost a worship. I looked at it and said, this is a church or what? But you guys have made learning a religion. And that's what I wanted to have you on the Rich Dad Radio Show for, Clark, because the people around you are impressive. I was so in awe, humbled, and honored. I mean, there's such good people, but they came to you to study, and Pastor Jackson and all you young guys out there. And then I go around, like I said, I had to let go of my company because they refuse to study. I study every single day. It's a religion to me. I don't mean I study religious things, but I study every single day. I was just out in the South Pacific, looking at the World War II sites, like Iwo Jima and Palau and Okinawa. And the guy I met there was getting about your age. And this guy studies. This whole group studies. They're multi-millionaires on that trip. So how do you get people so turned on, Clay? I mean, you do it in mass.
Let's say this real quick. I'm going to give people a spiritual answer, not a religious one, a spiritual answer that I'll get really specific. So what I do is the Hebrew word work means worship. So if you look up the Hebrew word, the word work means worship and worship means work. I happen to identify as a Christian. If you're watching and you don't, that's fine. But I believe I'm supposed to work as unto the Lord. And the word work means worship. Think about it, folks. In Hebrew, the word work means worship and worship means work. So when I'm worshiping, if I claim to be a Christian, I'm working as unto the Lord and not as unto human masters. So I am over delivering because I know it will cause me to eventually be overpaid. I am filling the room with confidence because I have confided in myself. I've confided in myself during this instance that I'm doing what God wants me to do. I know that this is the day that the Lord has made, but what I do with that day is my gift to God. Every day that I have is a gift from God, and what I do with it is a gift to God. So that's how I get myself fired up. Now, as far as specifics for other people, I say, listen, you're at this conference, you're watching this show, you're interacting with me right now, and time is your most important asset. Time is your most valuable asset. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. I tell people, look, I grew up poor. I worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV simultaneously en route to building my empire or whatever this compound is. But everybody out there, what you want to do is think about your life perfect in every respect. Where do you want to be 18 months from now? Where do you want to be 18 months from now? Everybody watching today's show, write it down. Where do you want to be 18 months from now? And then we have to go SMART, SMART goals. We have to set specific goals. What are our specific steps we need to take daily to get up that mountain? Measurable. They have to be measurable. They can't be woo-woo. It can't be this pseudo esoteric, vague cloud of no, they have to be measurable. Actionable. They have to be actionable. You have to take your big idea and turn it into action steps. Realistic. Your goals have to be realistic, are realistic. And T is time sensitive. We're only going to live once. Life is not a dress rehearsal. So when people go to thrivetimeshow.com and they click on the testimonials button and they go, this guy's been doing the same thing for 20 years. He's a little more pale in person than I thought he would be. I'm surrounded by people that weren't born yesterday that are successful, but people who are young or people who are old. And people start to go, you know what, Robert? If somebody can do it who's old, if someone can do it who's young, if someone can do it who grew up poor, if someone can do it who grew up wealthy, if these people all eliminated their excuses and they decided to transform from victims into victors, perhaps I can do it too. And I think that's what unlocks the excitement is people go, you know what? I'm going to go back to my hometown and I'm going to diligently implement these systems and processes. And then because we've diligently documented these success stories for 20 years, you start to go, and a lot of our longtime listeners will go on the site and they'll say, Clay, you interviewed a mother of 7 named Lindsay Blankenship. Her husband was working 80 hours a week. She's a mother of 7, and her husband started a company pre-COVID, and now it's a massive medical spa. Wow, I don't have any excuses. They go to belovedcheesecakes.com. They see Jennifer, a recently divorced single mom who started a cheesecake factory, and now it's a nationwide success story. People start to say, you know what? I think I can do it because I'm going to eliminate my own excuses. So, Robert, long answer, but hopefully that was specific for you, sir.
No, I love it because, Clay, the reason I want you on my show, it's not just the mind. We have a body, mind, the spirit, and we have emotions. And emotions, when they talk about EQ or this IQ, emotion, intelligence, but emotional intelligence. And you touch the spirit, Clark. Clay, you touch their spirits and their fire goes on them. And that's what I want to know, how you do it. And how do people I suggest anybody listening to this, if you live near the Tulsa area, just go visit what you're doing. Because to see your compound, your home is a mansion. And you open it up to everybody. And you feed everybody. I'm going, my God, your spirit is so on fire. That's what I think is missing in life today, is that spirit. You're on fire and you passed it on to your, let's hate to say it, your congregation, but your followers out there, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're turned on and ready to study and learn and get back to work,
Well, Robert, one thing that I do, and this is a visualization exercise, and again, I'm not getting religious, I'm telling you what I do. My father, may he rest in peace, he died of Lou Gehrig's disease approximately 5 years ago, and I had to watch my father suffocate en route to death. It was the worst. I won't choke up on today's show, but it's just talking about it or thinking about it, it's heavy. I'm saying that because somebody out there watching today's show, it's heavy. It's heavy. And so when I grew up poor, a lot of your listeners grew up poor, and what happens is my dad's delivering pizzas. And he was working, my dad specifically, my father, may he rest in peace, was delivering pizzas for Domino's and working the night shift at a gas station chain called Quick Trip. So my middle school years were spent with my father working 2 jobs to put food on our table, but he had a college degree. AKA he had gone through the Marxist indoctrination camp known as college. And so my father was really, really doing his best to provide for us. And I appreciate him doing that. And I wouldn't criticize anything about my father. He did such a great job trying to provide for us. But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called DJconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and people that parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you got to read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Now, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, I read that. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I read that. But then it was up to me, am I going to apply it? And as I began diligently applying these systems and processes, and people kept asking me to help them grow their companies, I've decided mentally, every time I talk to a potential client, I visualize and I picture my father. And I think, what would I tell my father, who my father at the age of 37 was delivering pizzas and working at Quick Trip. So every potential client who goes to thrivetimeshow.com and they schedule a free consultation with me, it might sound weird, it might sound woo-woo, but I in my mind, I picture my father is the person on the other end of the phone. And I think to myself, if I was talking to my father, or someone like my father who's trying to raise kids and he's working 2 jobs despite the degree, what does he need to hear? Maybe not what does he want to hear, but what does he need to hear? And my goal is to kick that person into another gear when we get off that phone call. And so that's what I do. And I think people say, man, Clay, you're filled with enthusiasm, or you have that spirit. The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek word theos, means God. So enthusiasm means God within. So I believe that I am filled with the Holy Spirit, or a spirit of I want to help somebody become successful. And a mentor of mine back in the day, he told me this, a true story, a big mentor, multimillionaire. I said, sir, what is your philosophy towards coaching? He said, Clay, the word charisma used to be spelled with a K. And I said, come again? He said, the Greek word for charisma, it's spelled with a K. It's called charisma, K-A-R-I-S-M-A. It means to lift up, to coach up, to mentor up. That's what charisma means. He said, however, today's version of charisma is now spelled with a C-H, C-H-A-R-I-S-M-A. And now it means a highly motivated individual yelling at you, talking down to you, making you feel inadequate, unable. And so you get coached down or talked down to. He said, your job is to leave people feeling whole and not to leave people feeling full of holes. And I said, what did you just say? He said, your job is to make people feel whole and not to leave feeling full of holes. And so I would just say, everybody watching today's show, if anybody does come to our conferences, Robert, probably 95% of our attendees are not from Oklahoma. And I've always let people name their price. And people say, you let people name their price? I go, yeah. So I always tell people it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. I've got nothing to upsell you. But when people see that you're actually trying to give them a hand up, not a hand out, people respond and people gain that enthusiasm. And I believe that courage and enthusiasm is contagious, Robert.
Well, I tell you what, Clay, can you tell people how they get in touch with you? What you just said is important. I think it's important people come and spend, time to look at your work, what you have done. I mean, you're not just talking, and to come and associate with your, I use the word congregation, but your followers, because they're on fire. And we're going into a very rough economic time, as you know. Our debt's gone out of sight. That's why gold is making you rich, and silver and Bitcoin. But people need the fire. So how do people get in touch with Clay Clark, and what will they have to do to come and visit you and get a sense of what you're doing and carry that out into the world?
Well, first off, Eric Trump asked me the first time I did this, he goes, "Are you actually giving out your cell phone number?" This is my cell phone number. And anybody out there with a sound mind who is a sincere person, you can text me to request tickets to our events. That's 918-851-0102. This is the same cell phone number my wife texts me on, the same one Eric Trump texts me on. That's my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. Or you can go to thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com, and you might say, why would you give out your cell phone number? I do it because I get to meet some of the most fantastic people ever. One of the world's best-selling authors texted me the other day, and I said, "Is this you?" And he goes, "Is it you?" We had an NBA player who's currently playing in the playoffs text me the other day and goes, "Dude, I love your podcast. Is this you?" So it's a great way for me to connect. It sort of breaks the industrial complex and it freaks people out. But that's my cell phone number, 918-851-0102. Or you can go to thrivetimeshow.com, thrivetimeshow.com. And if you want to listen to my podcast, I recommend you go to Spotify and do a search for the Thrive Time Show on Spotify. That's the Thrive Time Show on Spotify.
THRIVE time show. Thrive.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Time. So because what you have is the fire, and you package it, you deliver it, and you turn your people on. Like I said, the hardest times of my life was just sitting on that aircraft carrier going, the fear is intense flying into combat. And how do you overcome that fear, the paralysis, the sadness about it? We did a job that nobody really wanted to do. We got spit on when we came home, hit with eggs and, called baby killers. But that actually built strength.
Sir, one thing I wanted to share with you, and again, with the limited time we have here, and I mean this sincerely, I am in awe of, I am inspired by the men and women who've served our country. I get to focus on, problems like, how do I teach my kids how to become successful, or how can I teach entrepreneurs? But none of that matters if you don't have freedom. And so on behalf of me and all the entrepreneurs out there that have frankly been living in this great country because of the sacrifices of you and anybody watching today's show who's ever served in the military, I just want to say, thank you so much for repeatedly putting your life in harm's way and for doing a job that nobody else wanted to do. And then I want to issue an apology to you on behalf of anybody that spit on you or said negative things about you in ignorance, because you really did stand up and fight for our country. And it's just an honor to know you, to call you friend. And thank you for the service you and anybody else watching today's show who's ever served in our military. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you, Clark. Really, Clay. I mean, my good friend's name is Clark, so I call you Clark. Anyway, Clay, so thank you very much. And it's thrivetimeshow.com. I wanted you on my program to let people know that you're for real out there. And, take the time to go visit your work, worship and work. But when you see your house and the people and 5 o'clock in the morning, it's inspiring, inspirato. So congratulations, Clay. You're doing a fantastic job. Tell your people out there, I was so impressed with them because of their fire, their spirit. They're wanting to learn and to go and serve the world out there. So congratulations, Clay, for your great work out there.
Thank you, brother. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. It was the highlight of my life having you come to Tulsa. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. I'll be back, man. Thank you. So when we come back, we'll have final words from the Rich Dad Show. And I want to, again, thank Clay Clark. It's thrivetimeshow.com. Please, if you have the time, go visit him in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's worth the trip. Thank you, Clay. Welcome back. Again, I want to thank Clay Clark, and Thrivetime. And if you have a chance, please go visit him, spend a week out there. Because the reason I like the cash flow game, it requires 4 intelligences to win the game: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And I've had my lows. I mean, I've been so down. I didn't come close to committing suicide, but suicide would have been a great way out because I lost everything. I've lost everything twice. And so the thing that brings you back is your spirit, your soul. And so that's why I want to thank, Clay Clark for what he's doing, because he's putting people on fire. And I've had to fire people because they don't want to study. They just want the money. And the world's changing way too fast today to be stupid. There's a difference between being stupid and being ignorant. Ignorant is when you ignore and you say, oh, well, things will be the same. I'm going to make it. And that's our academic system. What a socialist is socialism works for people who don't work. So we're encouraging people not to work. People are going to college and getting deeply in financial debt, and they're coming out of school having no skills. They learn things like underwater basket weaving or something like that. Our education system has lost its soul. So that's why I speak. That's why the Rich Dad Radio Show. And that's why I was so thrilled to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma to visit Clay Clark with Eric Trump, who is a fabulous, fabulous young man. His brother, John Jr., Don Jr. and I are really good friends, and his father's doing a fabulous job with Elon Musk. And we're fighting for the soul of our country right now, because if we don't, the Marxists take over. The Marxists are an academic system. They believe in giving people money for free, defund the police, making sex changes, and that they shut down USAID, and there was USAID, which is a government agency, was sending money to Hamas and Hezbollah. I hate what has happened to this country. So let's fight back. I'm not favoring America, but I'm favoring let's have peace and prosperity throughout the world. And it's going to take all of us having strong minds, bodies, and spirits. Thank you very much for watching Rich Dad Show.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown 5 times. I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees, and now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrivetime, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences, and amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement.
Okay, Aaron Antis, September 25th and 26th. Guess who's coming back to Tulsa? I will give you a hint. His first name is Eric, and his last name is Trump. Whoa. And his father is the 47th president of these United States. Yes, Eric Trump is joining us once again here September 25th and 26th in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. But Eric Trump is bringing friends. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Alina Habba will be joining Eric Trump right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Amanda Grace will be in the place. Dr. Stella Emanuel will be here in T-Town in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Julie Green will be on the scene. Mel K will be here to say hey. Dave Scarlett from the His Glory team will be here. It's going to be a blasty blast right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you want to start or grow a super successful company, if you want to make your wallet great again or make your wallet great for the first time, if you want to learn marketing, systems, scaling, human resources, accounting, social media, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and more, get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. Thrivetime.com. Well, people don't know this, but the Trump Organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump Organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump Organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States, he needed a competent man to run and execute his business plans. Showtime! So the man that runs the Trump Organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint. Right. I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that, is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what? We should probably add on.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business business is and make it a household name. You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard. And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. This is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months. Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet.
I was looking to learn how to take my business, like they've said today, from being very successful to being systematic. I've got a very successful practice in 3 different cities, make good money, just want to take it to the next level with systems and processes to where I can drive my cars more.
Paul Hood.
I have been a CPA for 33 years.
And what kind of growth have you and your great team had here over the past, let's say, 5-6 years?
For the last when I met you 5 years ago, we were doing 3 million. This year we'll do 24 million.
Whoa. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because
simple.
I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
a storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Thomas Crossan, owner and founder of Full Package Media in Dallas, Texas. I've been a coaching client with Clay Clark since the beginning of our business. We started about a year ago, August of last year. I had no clients, no idea what we were doing, no clue really what was going on. And now we've grown to where we've got 6 photographers, we've got office space here. I have an admin, sales person that works for us full time, developing an online system, and a lot of that growth we attribute to Clay helping us. And there's so many things that his stuff is not, revolutionary. It's not this crazy walk on hot coals and all this stuff. It's just real stuff.
It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. It is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. What kind of growth have you had since you and I have been working together over these past few years?
3.45 million. I got those stats before I got on here.
So you've grown by 3.45 million.
Yeah, 3,450,000.
Would that be like if you took the combined revenue and maybe doubled it? Have we gone up by
about almost 3, not quite.